extremely well this Thursday evening, the 20th of November. Another day done, another day towards Premier League start, and I hope we're all doing really well today, whatever we are doing. I've got my old man cardigan on today. I've got my United shirt on. I absolutely love this shirt. It's one of my favourite shirts of all time. First thing to say, look, guys, if you come to the channel, this is probably, well, it is the best community on this platform. We may not be the biggest, but we certainly are the best. Get into this community, get into the chat. Get in there. Like, give respect to the community, give respect to yourselves, give respect to the mods, give respect to me. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes down, and you get banned. We don't like to do it. Banter is absolutely fine. We get some of the most amazing rival fans on here. This is the best community. So get in there. Doesn't matter who you support. Get in there. Tonight's show is a different sort of show. I am not a dictator of this chat, despite what some of you may say about me. It's not true. Look, I really do give you your opinions. The channel truly is about debate. There are super chats, all sorts of stuff on this channel, but I don't just read out those things. I generally do read out your chats. This is why this show takes so long, is because this is about you. This is your show. Get in to this community, and I do genuinely read out your chats, comments. We interact. Though, just because sometimes I may comment on what you said doesn't mean that I'm disrespecting the comment. It basically just means that sometimes you spark off a debate, and I do think it's really worth talking about. So look, get into this chat. YouTube, I don't know what it's doing to me right now. Hopefully the stream stays good. So look, guys, get into this chat, get into this community. The late shows that we do, look, this is your show. This truly is your show. Let me know about things you want to talk about. I will lead, as the thumbnail says, on things that have come out tonight. I really want to get your opinion in on that as well. The two main topics of conversation that we've been talking about, and it does bore me. One of the conversations about the menu conversation, we can get into that again. We did go through that this afternoon. I've seen something tonight now about Anderson might be coming in the next window, how Casemiro is going to go. This is what you get. You get this regurgitation. You get this, you do get this regurgitation, and sometimes you need to sort the wheat from the chaff, and you sort of need to sit there, and you need to go through everything, and eventually you kind of fall somewhere between the truth. Now, the difference with this is that we're all going to have our opinions. It's perfectly okay to kind of know what's going to happen, but it's perfectly okay to basically talk about some of the stuff that's on our mind. Many things to talk about. So look, this is the late show. Give us a thumbs up, get into it, and we will absolutely get into the stuff tonight. So I don't know what's going on with the chat. Hopefully the chat does work tonight. YouTube is doing me absolutely dirty again this evening. Don't know what is going on with it. So we'll continue as we do. So what are we going to talk tonight? So let's go through the stadium stuff first. So this is different to the sale of the club. This is not necessarily about the sale. This is about basically what's come out. So Andy Burnham, who is he the mayor, or he's going to be the mayor of Manchester? So basically, what's come out, and if you kind of know about the regeneration, the plans are to not just build a stadium, not just to build a state of the art place for us to go. I say us. There's going to be housing, so there's 15,000 homes planned as well. There's a shopping centre. There are shops. There's everything sort of planned for this part. Now, Andy Burnham has come out and basically already pledged to that area an investment fund, right? So he's looking to invest £1 billion in the area. I don't know whether you know, but Seb Coe, the athlete who was on the Olympics committee and all that sort of stuff. He's I don't know what you call it. He's the lead. He's the guy who's behind this as well. And as we know, Sir Jim, and this is my opinion, was basically brought in to bring in contact. So one of the things that we need for the stadium is investment, right? So part of this plan, and for Sir Jim to come in, this is my opinion. I'm not saying that this is fact, but this is my opinion on subject matter, is that Sir Jim was brought in as a figurehead to spear the project to make this happen. Now, it takes time. It takes time to invest. If you know anything about this club, through the summer months, we went away to the States. The Glazers were out there. The Glazers were doing their thing. Talking to people. That was the whole point why Omar was out there. They went to Saudi as well to kind of talk about that. There is this consortium and there is this whole thing out there, right? So they are looking for investment within the club, and so that's the stadium part. So whether they get that investment or not, that is a separate part to this. So the stadium also is reliant on the bits around there. So there is a freight line company there, that there is a train line, the shipping containers and that sort of stuff. So one of the things, again, which I don't think that's gone through yet, or it's not been confirmed, is that is the stumbling block, and that needs to be pushed out of the way. So they're looking to get that done. Now, reports last month were that they were looking to do a deal. They probably will do a deal. So they've got that land. So once they've got that land, the next part is, look, what are we going to do? So the regeneration of that land around there is not just about the stadium. It's not just about the club. The way to get it through is about building homes. It's about building homes. It's about all that stuff. Now, the plan is to build 15,000 new homes. Now, as we know, and I'm not going to get too much into the sort of government debate, but Labour right now, if you don't know who they are, they're one of the political parties. So we're talking, you've got the Conservatives, Labour, Lib Dems, and that sort of stuff. But Labour's drive right now is to build homes. I know around by me, there are ridiculous amount of homes being built. Nikki T, I hope you're doing extremely well. Big up to you, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well this evening. So when we look at the stadium, there is this consortium that is still out there. There is still a potential sale, and this sale is still there. But what we are talking about now is I think this is quite important, that people will sort of, while people are talking about Tulip Places, hey, I hope you're doing extremely well, Tulip. So one of the things that people will sleep on, KR official says, hi, hello, hope you are doing extremely well, is that whilst people are so focused on the transfers, there are actually things coming out around the stadium. Now, those of us who are hoping for a consortium bid, and nothing's to say that is not going to happen yet, this is a major point of fact, is that now it looks like the investment is starting to come through. So Andy Burnham today has basically announced that, look, there's going to be £26 million as an initial investment in that area, around for 300 and something homes. The plan around that is to build 15,000 new homes, and there's a pledge at the moment for £1 billion. Now, that £1 billion, as we've just said, the plan is to build those homes. Now, the reasoning behind that ultimately is because they know that if they're going to build infrastructure in this country, that they know, the club know, the Glazers know, right? This is where people I think sleep on the Glazers. This is where I think that we're so focused right now. So it's an interesting time how we're talking about the Glaze. Well, we're talking about Semenyo. We're talking about all these people who could sign, and they're pushing us to the right. But this article has come out about the stadium. It's come out about the investment is there. There's £1 billion there that's going to be invested around that place. They're going to be building homes. They're looking to engineer, and people are going to miss this because there are several factors here. Number one, does it actually put the potential sale to bed? The Glazers are looking to move this forward. They are pushing, looking to move this stadium build. As it has come out tonight, is that there's at least £26 million pledged, which are going to build homes. They're going to be 15,000. Can you say happy birthday, Deva fans, Bruno Fernandes, please, because he is fans of Manchester United. Happy birthday. Always good to wish people a happy birthday. I think these are the important times. And as I say, look, tonight this is your show. Get in there with your comments. I'm leading with something that I saw tonight, which I think is worth talking about. So I think this is worth a discussion tonight. Look, this is your show. Get in anything that you've heard, any questions that you want to ask, anything that you want to talk about tonight, and we will get into that. This is that show. I'll talk about the stadium. There's some menu things coming out as well, as they are. Kevin McGee, legend of the chat, says spin, spin, spin. Lots of talk about players well behind you there, up to no good. And Kevin, that is exactly my point that I'm raising tonight. Is what everybody else is going to be talking about Semenyo transfers, right? They're going to be talking about Anderson, right? We all know it's not going to happen. Tonight I saw a headline, 1 in and out, with Anderson on the front and Casemiro. It's basically spin, right? Nobody cuts through. There's very, very little that nobody will cut through. I guarantee tomorrow people will come out with this and then start putting 2 and 2 together and then start talking about the stadium. But is there a correlation between the fact that this stadium news has actually come out today? People have missed this all day. I've not seen a single person talk about this, and this has so many implications, and it's so sneaky. And as Kevin says there, the spin and the rhetoric around the stadium is, look, I think they are looking for the right time to almost announce that it's going to start, and what people don't get is once they break ground and once they start, any likelihood of a sale kind of goes out of the window. So this is perfect opportunity, perfect chance for them to, whilst people are looking sort of there, for them to basically, Brown Knight says, what did I miss? Nothing at the moment. We're talking about the stadium, and then we'll get on to stuff that we've spoken about today, stuff that's out there. Look, guys, I want you tonight to, this is your show tonight. I want you to, we can talk about whatever, whatever you've seen out there in the news. I'll talk about stuff as well that I've spoken about today. The transfer business, the stadium, the Glazers, we can just get into it tonight. But it says, oh my God, go Anthony, old team. Why on earth, so Kevin says, why on earth would the Glazers sell United, especially when we're at such a low point? Someone got some much needed sleep. I didn't actually. I didn't. I basically just went indoors, had some food, chilled for a bit, and then come back. Pretty much. Kevin says United in 5 years will be worth 10 billion. And Kevin, I'm with you, Matt. I've made this point many, many times. We're beginning to see United play as a team. Interesting opinion. I will come back to that. I'll give you my opinion on that as well. But look, tonight, get in there with your opinions. This channel will always give you. I will always give you a platform to have your opinion. I will read your opinion out. And yeah, let's get into whatever you want to talk about tonight. Good evening. Before we even think of a new stadium, we need to fix our leaky roof. Look, mate, I am with you. I think it is ludicrous. So to go back to Kevin's point, I've been saying this. This is why, and I've done a video on this about why Sir Jim cannot afford to buy the club, right? And it stands true. And that video is not just about why Sir Jim can't afford it. It's basically why anybody that comes into this club, the news from that is always, us. The guarantee is £33 or whatever it is per share, right? And we all know the Glazers want about £4.5 billion to £5 billion for the club, right? I think when you tally it up, and I think Kevin is spot on here. When you tally it up, right, you've got 4.5 to the Glazers, about 1.5 to Sir Jim, so we're talking around about £6 billion. The shareholders, the other ones, that's going to another £1.5 billion. Let's just say, let's be conservative, say 7. Then by the time you then build a stadium, that's 2. So we're talking around about 9. And by the time you build the infrastructure, by the time you do all the bits and bobs, you are talking £10 million to basically come in and buy a club. Now the Glazers want their. So how it works, right, is pretty much when you buy a company, right, there is. You basically pay for the brand, right? So when you buy a company, you're not only buying the assets and you're not only buying the company, you're buying the brand name. So let's just say if Pepsi was about to be sold, right? There's a big chunk of money that you pay basically just based on the name, right? You also pay potentially for the future. Let's just say, Pepsi, potentially in another 5 years, if they expand, they may want the value of that now, right? Probably not the whole of it, but they want a percentage. So what that basically means is that what the Glazers want is that on the stock market, the club is valued at about £2 billion, £2.5 billion. But what the Glazers want to do is they want the future value of what someone else would do to the club, right? Which is basically their MO, right? They bought this club on debt. Okay, so they bought the club on someone else's cash. And they basically live off of their dad's money. They live off of the fans' money. And what they want to do is for them to sell, they're saying, look, you're going to buy this club. We know this club is going to be worth more in X years. So what we want you to do is we want you to pay us that. So this is why it's going to be very, very difficult for people to buy the club, because really when you think about it, and you're talking about the debt as well, when you factor it in, a conservative, I'd say a conservative and realistic amount of money that somebody would have to do to come in and buy this club, it's probably round about 8 to 10 bill, and that is a conservative amount. So when we're talking about the stadium and leaky roofs, this is why they're having to do it, because the Glazers haven't taken care. They're custodians of the club, and they've not taken care. So this is why we're in the state that we're in now. Osibuli says we're beginning to see United play as a team. We're not there yet, but we're going there. Look, interesting comment. I think what we're seeing on the pitch, I think what we're seeing from last season, we had a team that basically didn't know what they were doing. Rashford, Garnacho, I know Sancho wasn't here. Rashford wasn't really here either. But we had a coach coming into this team with players that had no idea what they were supposed to play. They were a 4-3-3 team who went to a back five. These players and this coach did not match. Ineos didn't really buy him any players. So what was he supposed to do? What we are seeing, what Amorim has done, and where I will give the credit to these players is, do I think we are playing as a team? I believe we're playing as a team. But that's different from playing well as a team. Are we playing well? No. Are we playing as a team? Yes. So I do agree. We are nowhere near there yet, and I completely agree with you. I think that we are off by miles. I think we need at least another 5 or 6 players to come into this squad and give me your opinions on this. I think we need to replace Mason Mount. I think Bruno Fernandes eventually, because don't forget, even if Bruno Fernandes is a good player, he's 31, right? 31 years old. We're going to need to replace him in the next 3 years, right? Luke Shaw needs to go. Maguire will need to go. Casemiro will need to go. We've got a striker. We've got one striker. We need 2. We've got this squad, but we need to build a first team squad with that. So look, we are nowhere there at all. But look, I think that comment's great. Good evening. Before we even think about a new stadium, we need to fix the leaky roof. We do. What is the theme about today? So tonight, look, I'm leading tonight with the stadium. There's some stuff that's come out about that. We can go through the transfers again. Let me know what you've seen out there. And this really is your show tonight. This is about you having your real opportunity, about coming on here, having your say. Really, you get your thoughts out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think your opinion is out there. I am not. Look, I think it's really important that this fan base, it gets heard, right? There are people that still come on here. I'm not going to name names. And they believe that Amorim should be out. They don't believe. They don't believe in the things that I believe. But it's important. I think you guys need to come on and have your opinions. So get into the chat. I want to know about your feelings on the stadium, the Glazers, the players. Are we going to sign players? Who should we sign? Are you happy if we kick the centre midfield role to the summer? Now, I want to know your feelings on the manager. Just get it out tonight. Bruno says 3-4-3. Amorim is making Man Utd's own characteristic, like what Pep did. Interesting opinion. I would like to think that he can do that. I would like to think that Amorim can do that. I would love to think that Amorim will have the ability and be able to do that. I would love to see that. So look, I'm hoping he gets time. I'm hoping he gets backed. And let's see. Scott says it. Yes, JB, legend. Scott, as you know, this is the late night show. Just bring in whatever you want to bring in tonight. Brownite says, not just on the field, we're making the right appointments and rebuilding the club's culture from within. It's finally looking like we're heading in the right direction, like a proper football club. I'm somewhere in between that opinion. Look, that's your view. I'm not going to go too much on it. Look, this is not for me to come out. My only point would be that is, what are we doing? Like, I'm not seeing it. Like, we're buying youth players. Now, I will hold my hands up and say, look, I think you've got a point. If we do something in this market and we go out and make a statement, I will say to you, I agree with you, right? I'm not seeing what's changing. Has the culture changed, right? So, Rashford's gone, Sancho will go, Anthony's going, Garnacho has gone, right? These are players that have gone. We've only sold 2 of those players. Rasmus Højlund has gone. in regards to the culture, do I think it's changed? I think it's changing. I do think. Look, I do think we change for the better. But what I'm seeing is I'm still not seeing enough. The performances on the pitch still haven't been great. We've not strengthened in positions that we needed to. Did we need the 2 10s? I don't know. Aaron has been back to a degree, but all I'm saying is the fact that we're still playing Luke Shaw, Maguire, Casemiro is still here, irrespective. And I'm talking about conceptually here. We've got Mason Mount, who is a walking hospital bed. Luke Shaw defies medical science. Maguire is, again, great redemption story, great redemption arc, but he's what, 33? I think the football inside has definitely improved. But let's see. Look, for me, these next 10 games are going to tell me a lot about this football inside. Are going to tell me a lot about what this team is. And then I think come the new year, I think this is what we're going to see, what Ineos are about. We're going to see what this team's about. If we get through these next 10 games and we are still in the mix, Ineos go, look, we need to do something. And I'm not asking them to go out and spend like 100 million. I'm asking them to do something. And if they say, look, we are in this mix and we want to stay there, we're going to bring some of the budget now. I will start to agree, and my mindset will start to change. My mind will never change on Sergin and Ineos propping up the Glazers. That opinion of mine will never change. My opinion that they've let this club rot from the ground up, put us in £1 billion of debt. We're over £1.2 billion in debt. Our hands are tied. I cannot and I will not forgive that. But if the football inside has to, be separate from that. So look, I will probably concede that point, but let's see in 10 games time. Old Trafford is iconic stadium full of history. So Simon, can we replicate the memories in our new stadium? No, Simon. No, I don't think we can. The new stadium, in my opinion, and this is where you guys get in your opinions about tonight. This is where I stand, as I've been asked the question. Right, the problem is the new stadium will not be a stadium. It's going to be a circus, right? It's going to be a entertainment center, right? You're going to have, I don't know, concerts in there, right? And I'm not necessarily objecting to that. But if you look at what Liverpool have done with their ground, right? I'm not objecting necessarily with that. If the Glazers had looked after the stadium and they were saying, look, what we'll do is we'll do what Arsenal did to like a Highbury, right? What Arsenal did was they kind of built flats and they built things there, but they sort of retained that there, right? I'd have a problem, but I wouldn't have a problem if they'd maintained the stadium. If they fixed the leaky roof, if they'd shown some love and care and said, look, guys, we want to take this club to the next level. We feel like we need to build something new. But what we are going to do is we're going to preserve the current ground and we're going to do something fantastic with it. You can keep the ethos of the stadium. You can still do something with it, but give it that respect. They've just let that ground to rot, right? And yeah, people are going to have something shiny and brand new, but what about the stadium? What about the fact that they left it to be destroyed? You got to think about, your grandfathers, your mothers, uncles, sisters, aunties, sons, people who are not here anymore. Like, for instance, people like my uncle, people who've been there for many, many years, who told me stories. This has been our home. It's like somebody coming into your home now and basically saying, look, I'm going to own it. I'm going to basically leave the doors fall off. I'm going to leave the windows off, and we don't care. And then your home becomes so bad that you then have to move because they don't give a shit. It is a travesty. It is disgusting. And you can't replicate that in something. If it gets built, it's going to get built. In 50, 60 years' time, people will have forgotten what it was like. Whilst Anfield is still going to be standing, probably be high tech, but it's still going to be the same place. What have we done? Now we have let our history. My question is to you guys tonight: are we losing the history? The worst part for me is you can evolve as a club, and you should do. No, you should advance your medical science. You should advance the football that you play, advance your pitches. But have the Glazers taken us to a point where we actually are losing the history? We are losing that history. Secondary as well to that question. The Glazers are going to force the matchday fan out. The working class people that propped up this club. The working class people that propped up this club during the wars. During 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. There were times when there was a recession on. People now can't really afford to eat, heat, and sleep, and those people are still plowing their money into this club. And eventually they're going to, price those people out. There is talk of an American-style seating plan whereby you pay I can't remember what it's termed, but you basically pay a subscription to basically hold your seat. The Tampa Bay, for example, I think that the average price is about 10 grand to basically say that's my seat, and then you pay your season ticket on top of that. So the Glazers, I think, to answer the long-winded, is that they are ripping the heart and soul away from this club. Kurt says the problem in the club is internal. I worked at United, and nothing to do with the manager. It's the way they want it to more shares and more stocks. Look, mate, any inside dirt, mate, is absolutely appreciated. I know. I knew quite a few people that used to work there as well, and I know somebody who is basically saying that their IT is abysmal. They're using like Excel, right? Nothing wrong with Excel. I've used Excel for years, but the computer systems are so antiquated and so old that when they're spending billions of pounds, millions of pounds on players and stocks and shares, and they can't give the staff the proper equipment to do their day job, it's unbelievable. Chris says the club needs to be sold at 7 billion to be back in winning. I don't disagree with you. No problem. Let me just check under my pillow. I'm sure I have 7 billion change in there. OT will never be replaced. Just a bit, but keeping the classy style. Old Trafford will never be replaced. You can't replace it. You can't. You just can't. But I think the Glazers will. What the biggest thing for me, when people talk about the stadium and they talk about the sale of this club, automatically what people go is they go, right, we're going to buy players. We're going to buy billions of players. We're going to spend £1 billion on players. My first thought is I want to keep the history. I want to keep the stadium. A new owner should come in and go, let's not build a new stadium. I don't mind if you want to build houses and you want to build, shops and and build all that sort of stuff, because people do need affordable homes. People need stuff like that. You can invest in the area, no problem with that. But my first thought is when somebody buys this club is, are they going to retain the history? And I think people are so obsessed with new players. People are so obsessed with a shiny new ground that I think that people will eventually lose that connection with the club. Where can we relocate our statues? Let them remain as is. What do you think of Shesko injury, says Joss? I think the Shesko injury is coming at a bad time. I think the Shesko injury is unfortunate for him. I think he's had a lot of criticism. I've watched him all season. There have been some games, right, where there was touches that he's had and things that he's done. I think he's been fantastic. I think he's better. I think he's better than Højlund. The problem with Shesko is he needs to be fed, right? He needs balls into the box. He needs balls into his feet. He's not the sort of striker to turn and run at you, right? He can do, but he's not that sort of striker. He needs that ball at his feet. And the problem is that we're not servicing the striker again. And this is why Amrin wanted the likes of an Osman to turn around and spin. But I'm hoping that Shesko comes back. It's going to take him a couple of games. I think he will be back. I think he will be back 2 weeks' time. Will he play? Recovery wise, I don't know how long that will take, but I think it's unfortunate for him. I think it's unfortunate for us. But we're going to see. We're going to see if Sir Jim thinks this squad is a top 4 squad, as he said himself. We're going to see. We're going to see what this squad is about. Pridio says, when Amrin suffered a defeat, I still believed in him because he played the game in the way where the old coach's way didn't. Agree with you. Agreed. Bruno is getting old, says Josh. We have a squad for 1 game a week, just about. And Kevin, you're right. We've got a squad that plays 1 game a week, right? 1 game a week. And they still look tired. And they still look crap. We won 3 games on the trot and then we've drawn 2. Our performances from the 3 wins have started to progressively get worse. The Forest game, and again, if you look at those stats of the Forest game, I know somebody came on and was giving me the stats and basically saying how we were the better team. Clearly didn't see the game. I watched the game. We were abjectly terrible for a lot of that game, and then against Spurs, awful against Spurs. So my worry, as Kevin says there, look, we've got a squad who can barely play 1 game a week, who basically play 1 game. They've come out the last 3 games and they've started off slow. So if we've got a squad that can barely play 1 game a week, for the next month, we're going to have 2 games a week. Brownat says we need to let go of the past and focus on the future. Old Trafford is a special place, but let's not kid ourselves. It is dilapidated, and we need a modern stadium. Now, I'll respect that opinion because I think you're putting in a balanced view there, right? I don't disagree in some respects. That do we need to progress as a club? Yes, we do. Potentially, do we need something new? Yes. My counter argument to that is the reason why the stadium is in the mess that it's in is because of the Glazers. Whilst I completely agree that we would need to do something with the stadium. Why couldn't the Glazers do something, right? My whole argument here is that I'm not saying we don't need something new, but the reason why the stadium is falling around is because it's never been invested in. They'll give it a lick of paint, but whether we like it or not, Old Trafford is a sacred place. It should be protected. If, for example, right, if the Glazers said, look, this stadium is not fit for purpose now. You've got Spurs. Spurs went and built a brand new stadium, right? I get it. I get it completely, right? I get it. A brand new stadium under the right circumstances. Let's just say the Glazers were owners that, over the years spent the money wisely, never took anything out of the club, looked after the stadium, okay? the roof was fixed, the toilets didn't flood, there weren't rats around. If the Glazers looked after the stadium and then said, look, what we're going to do, or what our plan is we're going to keep the structure of the ground. We'll probably build some homes in there, but look, guys, we need to move. If we want to compete and stay as a world power, then we need to move for the good of the club. No problem with that. But the reason why they want to move is because they want to make more cash. This is not about securing a legacy. This is not about the future. This is about the future earning potential for the Glazers. So that is why I'm dead against it. Like your arguments are sound. I can't disagree. But if the sentiment was there, I would be inclined to go, look, I still don't agree, but I get it. The owners care. What they want to do is actually progress this club. But what they want to do is they want to move because they've let the stadium rust. And additionally to that, if the Glazers said, look, we want our legacy to be, we want to leave this club as a world-class, state-of-the-art complex, and the legacy was, as a thank you to the fans and as a thank you to the club, said, we're going to build the stadium. We're going to put our hands in our pockets, or we're going to finance the stadium. We're going to buy it. We're going to build it, and we're going to say, look, this is what we want to do. We want you to think of the Glazers every time you walk into the stadium. This is our passion. This is what we want to do. The Glazers not even going to pay for the fucking stadium. Like, the Glazers want you to pay for the stadium. The Glazers want us to pay for the stadium. The Glazers want the city of Manchester to pay for the stadium. How they built the new stadium for the Buccaneers was they threatened to move the stadium. And then Tampa Bay had no choice. They charged the community a tax. So they actually built the stadium on the back of the people who then had to pay a tax. There was a special tax, and they had to basically pay for the stadium. And this is what the Glazers want to do. They want the government to pay for the stadium. They want other people to pay for the stadium. And that's my problem. That's my issue with the stadium. Utd says, I don't want Semenyo. If he stops us signing a CM, it doesn't. I'll happily take him. Let's come on to Semenyo next, because again, I think there's lots of stuff going around about that as well. When Højlund comes back from loan, do you think he should make him a centre forward instead of a main striker? It's interesting with Højlund. I don't think Højlund's going to come back. I don't think he wants to come back. Obviously, the caveat to that is there are rumblings coming out of Naples that they're not entirely impressed with him. I think he'll stay. I don't think he'll come back. If he does come back, I don't know what I'd do with him. We've got Šeško. Would Rasmus Højlund be happy to fight? Look, I said before, I said in the preseason games, right, that it would be interesting to me to have two young bucks fighting up for the striker position. Now, if we get into the Champions League, we've had York, Cole, Sheringham, Solskjaer. Why can't we have these two young strikers? I'm not opposed to it. If we go into the Champions League, we're gonna need two strikers, because we're gonna have FA Cup, we're gonna have Champions League, we'll have Carabao Cup. Hopefully, we should be back in all of those competitions, and we'll definitely need one or two sort of more strikers. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really like him, but I don't know whether he would come back or not. Kevin says, where'd you get the jersey from? I've been looking for one for years. So there's a website called Retro, I retro something, retro jerseys. Let me have a look. It's called. Let me have a look. It's called. Let's have a look. It is called. Let me find it. It's called Club Retros. Yeah, and basically it does pretty much them all. And like, I've got to say this, right? You know, when you go on holiday, and you've got the special men, and they sell all the football shirts, and you know the quality of those shirts are not great. I've got to say this, right? The quality of these shirts are fantastic. Like, they are not the same material. They are, like, the badges are not the same. They come with labels, so they come with the original sort of labels as well. The material on this is not the same as that one. I got that one as well. The badge is not the same, so that's more of that's more of a. This is more one of those badges that you can like peel off, but it's completely different. These shirts, I have to say, are fantastic. So retro club, they're called. Didn't Semenyo say that he's an Arsenal fan? Again, Semenyo, we'll come on to that. Let me get through the chats and then we'll come on to that as well. Casemiro has been a standing captain for our team when Bruno is either not playing or subbed. How would you rate him as a standing captain? Simon, Casemiro's been there, and Casemiro's been there, seen it, and he's done it all, right? There's only one person in this club at the moment that I think is a captain, and that is Matthijs de Ligt, right? I think he is captain, right? Casemiro, for me, look, Casemiro has been has been the better midfielder this season. But the one thing I'll say about a Casemiro is this, right? Would he get into a top 4, top 5 side? No, right? By comparison of the rest of, and I'd argue Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle, is probably more that you can argue that as well. Probably Forest as well. Would he get into any of those sides? No. Casemiro has looked good in this side because he's literally the best of a bad bunch. Ugarte has been trash. Manu, for whatever reason, can't play in the team. He's not a number 6. I respect Casemiro. I do respect him. This season, for me, I would say, look, I've got a respect for him because, look, he's available, he's playing, he sort of knows his skill set. He's terrible when we go forward because he just doesn't have the pace. But when we are more defensive, he's very, very good, and he does have that control. So, as a standing captain, I mean, you can't, is he worse than Fernandes? No. I would probably, if I was going to, if someone said to me, you can pick out of the two, I'd rather Casemiro's been the captain. But I mean, it's average, really. Chip says he can play left 10 against good teams and left back against the bad ones. Graham Marston says, where have all the Muckle Masters gone that used to be on here? Come and say hello. I know you were there. Graham, legend. He's Dr. Bro. Why are you asking about the player's condition? He's not the doctor. Why are you asking about the player's condition? John, maximum respect from Cape Town. Has things you're on side. What we talk. Selwyn, legend of the chat. So look, what I'm leading with tonight really is I'm talking about basically what's come out today is the stadium news, right? Basically how when people are focused and channels are all talking about, they're talking about Semenyo, they're talking about the transfers. Now, what I've purposely done tonight is the figures on the video tonight are going to be low, right? Because I'm not talking about the transfers again. I'm not buying into the Semenyo stuff. Like, we'll talk about it tonight because I think it's an interesting topic. But I'm not leading with, like some others have tonight. Oh, one in and out. We're gonna sign Anderson. He's gonna come in the next window. Or we're gonna sign this and that. We did a show this afternoon talking about that, but it was a different kind of show, right? So we're talking about that. We can talk about that. Look, this is your show tonight. Get in there with your opinions. I'm leading pretty much with the news of the stadium that's come out. Most people have missed it tonight. Nobody's leading on the stadium because it's boring, right? No one cares. There's investment. There's news that have come out today how there's going to be investment in the area of £1 billion. £26 million is going to be there pretty much now. They're going to build houses. Once that happens, once they break ground on the houses, it will be very, very difficult for somebody to come in and buy that. Josh says he's on loan. I think that's Rasmus Højlund. How much truth is there in the opinion that United is a big club with a small mentality? Well, when you're talking about the truth of that, right? Well, the truth is United, and the truth is, and other people can't handle that. I'm just going to call you Bam. Good evening, Bam. I hope you're doing extremely well. How much? The facts are United are the biggest club, right? If you're looking at it on the revenue and you're looking at it on the value, there's only one club bigger than us. There's only one Spanish club bigger than that. So Madrid are bigger than us. When it comes to the revenues earned, again, we're up there. Are we the biggest club in England? Yes. Are we the biggest club? We are the biggest club. If you're talking about fan base, we have 1 billion people who support this club. We are, in my opinion, we are the biggest club in the world. The mentality of some of us, and when I say that, this is not a disrespect. This is, I think now there are two types of sort of fans that support this club. There are fans that have never known success, right? Which I feel really just sad about. So those fans think that a Rashford is the pinnacle. They think that winning like an FA Cup is great. They think we've come to a point, right? And I say this because it really just, I think this is what sums up where we are, right? One of the biggest topics of conversation, one of the biggest things that people are talking about now is, can we win 5 games in a row so some fucking idiot can cut his hair? I mean, like, we're trying to be a big club. We're trying to be a professional club. And that's where I'd say to you, at times there is a mentality that we're small. As a fan base, there is a significant amount of people driven by the media, driven by others, that we've got to win 5 games on the trot. Not because we're trying to advance as a club, not because we're trying to get into the Champions League. We want to win the 5 games so some prick can cut his hair. I mean, what have we become? What have we become as a fan base when I demand to win the league at the start of the year, not because I think we can, because I demand those standards to be high. I come from an era where you've got Steve Bruce. I know you can go back. You've got Robson, Steve Bruce, Pallister, Schmeichel, Parker, Irwin, Keane, Ince, Kanchelskis, right? I come from that era. And now we've got an era of people who are demanding 5 wins so some prat can cut his hair. I mean, it boggles my mind. I can't get my head around the fact that people will celebrate the fact that some guy will cut his hair if we win 5 games in a row. I can't. My expectation for this fan base is higher. And I'm not blaming, like, it is a laugh and a joke. I get it. but we need to be winning 5 games on the trot so we can get Champions League. I couldn't care if this idiot cuts his hair or not. I'm not winning the 5 games for that idiot. I want to win the 5 games so we can get points. Should have sold De Gea. Should we have sold De Gea and Scott McTominay? De Gea wasn't sold. I mean, De Gea, what they did to him was disgusting. What they did to that keeper is disgusting. Bunch of snakes, bunch of arseholes. What they did to that keeper was despicable. Let him go on a free, let him go on holiday, telling him that the contract was going to be there, and then let him leave through the back door. Didn't even give him a proper goodbye. Absolute scummers. Scotty McTominay, should Scott have been sold at the time? Yes. With hindsight, do I think it was a bad idea? Yes. But I don't think we would have given him the platform. I think Scott McTominay leaving was the best thing for him. If he'd stayed at this club, he would not be where he is now. So I'm glad for him that he's gone. I think, should we have sold him? Yes. I think he made the right move for him. Do I think it was a mistake? I think it's too easy. I think it's too easy to say that we made the mistake, because if he'd have stayed here, he wouldn't be the same player. And I guarantee you, we'd all still be saying that he needed to be sold. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So you only know what you've got when it's gone. And I'm pleased for him that he's gone. I don't think he'd still be the same player, which I think is a failure on us. So, and I agree with you. Paxman says Keane or Vieira, who was better? It's Roy Keane, isn't it? There is no question. You're asking me that question. It's Roy Keane. We must sign another midfielder to succeed this season. I'm Bam. I am with you. I think if we're serious about getting top 4, I think we need to sign a player. So it says 17 people, 4 likes. Yeah, I love it, Zelwyn. I love it, my friend. At the time, both the parties were right. Yeah. Go Anthony. We can't sign the midfielders that we need. Yeah, Kevin. Agreed, mate. Agreed. And what I'm going to say, I would say to you this, right? Any channel right now saying that we're going to sign these players, I will come on and I will report the news, right? Do I think we should sign players in the next window? Yes. Do I think we will? No. I'm of the opinion that the only player that's going to come in is a Gallagher, right? Whether I think that's right or wrong, whether I think that's an inspired one or not, that is what I think. Anything else is just spin right now. We shouldn't have sold Scott McTominay, says Josh. We need to strengthen the team. We shouldn't have sold yet. With the Glazers still here, our stadium may be made of Lego bricks, Simon. Mate, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they literally cut down on screws. I reckon they'd count every single screw. So when our stadium is built, Herosho says good night, good night, my friend. It wouldn't surprise me. So when this stadium is going to be built, right, it's going to be pre-built. So basically, how they build it so quickly is they basically build it and then they put it together, right? It wouldn't surprise me if the Glazers tried to cut costs. It wouldn't surprise me if they counted every single screw. They went for cheaper screws. This screw is £1. Well, these screws are like 84p. Can we save some money there? And that's probably not them. That's probably Sir Jim. I reckon Sir Jim will scrutinise every penny. He'll do like an audit. He'll look at every single cost. He'll be down the back of the sofa. I know at Carrington there's like a relax area with like some seats in there. I reckon Sir Jim will have his hand down at the back of the sofa trying to find pennies and pounds. Yeah, Josh, mate, you said it. Time out, Josh. Time out, mate. Tom Curtin says Amarin playing Busby ball going back to what the club was made famous for. So back at Stratford, he will turn the Reds round. Glazers out. Tom, I'm liking the positivity. I'm with you. The Glazers out. Mac T was good sub. He scored just when we needed him. So, and again, mate, we I don't think we knew what we had. I just don't, But again, if he'd have stayed, would he have played in the right position? I don't know. What makes me like Scott McTominay even more? What makes me like him even more is the fact that he's gone, look, I've been at this club since I think it was 10, right? I'm not taking it. I'm not having this. So he went away to a different culture, different league, and whether or not we think he's slow, right? Went to a different league, different culture, and he got the Serie A Player of the Year, got his head down and said, look, I'm going to prove you wrong. And he's proved this club wrong in the right way. And I like him even more. I like him even more. I think as an athlete, I think he's great. Whatever we think about Serie A, maybe that helps him. But look, he's gone away to a different league. The Ballon d'Or. I mean, how the hell did he get into the Ballon d'Or, right? Unreal. So it makes me like him even more. And I think the pinnacle for me, the pinnacle of what he's done is that goal that he scored, and now Scotland are in the World Cup. I mean, what a turnaround! What a turnaround of a career. When I talk about mentality of players, and I talk about the types of players that I want at this club, Scott McTominay is the type of player that I want at this club. That move could have destroyed him, could have destroyed his career. A United Academy player through and through. He's left to a different league, and look at what he's done. Look at what he's done. It's not necessarily the performances for me. It is their mentality to go and do that in a game as important as that. To go and score that goal that he did and be part of a Scottish team. And I don't think people realise this. They've not been to a World Cup since '98. It is unbelievable. It is. I genuinely think that probably as an achievement and as a player, I don't think I've been prouder of an ex-player than of him. I think phenomenal. Brad says 2020 nobody was crying when we sold him. I don't believe that United is the only called history now. What I see is Amarin sacrificed his years for United to get his own playing style. Interesting opinion. We need to move our statues to the next one somewhere near Old Trafford is iconic. The roof needs repairing this month has been wet. Just give our fans brollies and max. When is Manchester not wet? Many legends have created Old Trafford. I agree. We will never see a statue of Shaw or Maguire. I agree. Shesko is decent, but we are a team that is not used to feeding the striker. I agree with you there. While Shesko is injured, we have to rely on Cunha and Xerxes up front. We won't get Anderson until the summer, and a lot can happen until Forest want 100 mil for him too. Now, Simon, I've got an opinion on that. And look, guys, tonight we're gonna jump around. Give me your opinions on different stuff tonight. One of the things that I've seen that is bugging the piss out of me, right? And this is where I'm going to go into old man mode, right? I'm seeing this on channels, and I'm seeing the arrogance, right? I have to confess, I have watched one or two bits, right? Because Anderson gets mentioned a lot, right? The one thing that at the moment that's bugging me with a lot of the channels and the particular people on them is the arrogance, right? They're talking like Anderson is already here, right? They're talking like we have signed these midfield players like a Wharton, right? They're talking like Anderson is here. I like Anderson, right? I love him at this club, right? But I've seen this club mess up many deals. Anderson in the summer, they're going to be City, Arsenal. I don't care what anyone says. Anybody is going to get him. There's going to be Arsenal, Liverpool, foreign teams. Everybody is going to come there, right? He won't be 100 million then because there are clauses in the contract that's going to put Anderson in and around the 70 million mark, right? Some of the channels, some of this talk out there, the arrogance that we've got him, the arrogance that we're going to sign him is ridiculous, right? If we do something audacious, I will tip my hat to the club. But these channels are talking as if we've got him. They're talking as if he's agreed to come to us. He's not agreed a single thing, right? And we're talking like we have got these players. And I feel like we're not focusing. We've got 10 games, right? If we don't do well in these 10 games, right, and we're not in the hunt, because we're going to have to be in the hunt for top 4 or 5 in these next 10 games, we can kiss it goodbye. And then these players are not coming. Anderson will not come. So our focus should be, look, let's talk about the transfers, right? Fine. We can talk about that. But every fucking channel right now is solely focusing on Semenyo, focusing on Anderson, focusing on these players that we're going to get in the summer months. I don't care right now. We've got 10 games. We need to get our heads down and focus on these 10 games. We have got work to do as fans. We need to support this team. The players have got work to do right now. I couldn't give a monkeys about players that are not here. They are not our players. We need to focus on this. So look, I've got no problem with you guys and us talking about it on here, talking about, I'd happily talk to you guys about it, but I'm not going to lead with things like this because it is a ridiculous notion to me that we're talking about things that depend on a position that we finish, and we finished 15th last season. We're not playing particularly well going into the next 10 games. So my view is here. I will happily, in the next transfer window, go nuts. I'll be on here and I'll be giving you the updates every day. Anything that breaks, I'll give you those, right? But until we get there, and until we get through these next 10 games, everything is just for clicks. Everything is just for clicks because we need to win these matches. Everton love their new ground. Simon says Casemiro also needs to go. RMU, do you think there's a chance of getting Semenyo? And one more thing about the stadium when it will be completed. So the stadium will take 5 years. So there's talk of 2030, I believe, 2030, 2031 season. So I saw something really, really, really funny today, right? So apparently United are up in arms with the FA because they're arguing over, in 10 years' time, there's going to be the Women's World Cup, and United want to hold the game there. So they want to hold the final in the brand new stadium. So when it's built, the inaugural game will be the women's final, right? So they're already arguing the toss over where that's going to be played, right? Do I think we'll have a chance of getting Semenyo? There's always a chance. Yes, I think we have a chance. I think if this club is ambitious in the next window, there's a chance. But we've got to be in the mixer. We've got to be in that mixer for top 5. We've got to go into these next 10 games and go, look, we've got to get points out of this. We've got to get, I think in the next 10 games, I think we've got to get at least 20 points. I mean, we've got to get as many points as we can. So I do think we do stand a chance, but we do have to accept that Liverpool have been trying to do this deal. I think ultimately where he's going to end up is there. But do I think there's a chance? There's always a chance. I want to see this club be ambitious, but let's see. Is there any more spamming and that? Yeah, exactly. The ban hammer comes down. Our government will only pay for. Yeah, Old Trafford is sacred ground, but massively outdated and is no longer one of the best stadiums in the world. I agree with you. We don't need Semenyo, a centre, midfield, and another striker is more important. I have to sort of agree with you. I think there, Cole Perrell. I think I do have to agree with you there. I think for me, I agree. I think that I would much prefer a striker. I'd much prefer a midfield player rather than that. So I think, but my caveat to that would be, I think Semenyo is one of the best players in the league right now. Would you, if there's an opportunity to get one of the best players in the league, and it doesn't necessarily impact what you do in the summer, would you get him? Dr. Snork says we need to clone Junsey Park to get someone working on it. It's called an RAP cardigan. Yeah, it is. It's bloody freezing, mate. I am cold, and yeah, I'm bloody freezing. Yeah, I love this cardigan. It's nice and warm. They're replica tops. Casemiro has been a standing. Yeah, we've already gone through that. Casemiro is not a leader. Ugarte is a waste of money. I'm starting to think that. Kevin says, I think there is genuine interest in Semenyo. Amorim didn't have dinner with him in the summer, and United offered him a deal. Late show equals spitballing. It does. Like I've got no notes tonight, so guys, look, get into your comments. Talk about pretty much most stuff. Nikki says, I am coming round to the idea that Semenyo would be a good signing, especially if we can make European football. Glazers out. Agree with you completely. Again, spam will get banned. Evening UDC. I'm loving that. UDC. It makes us. I've said it makes us sound like a baddie, it makes us sound like a corporation from like an 80s film, like something like the Terminator or Alien, or Aliens, or I love it though. It's cool. Been a few days since I banned someone. Scott has the power. Scott is He-Man. Scott is He-Man. I think we can beat Everton. They aren't exactly doing good at the moment. Yeah, we did a preview of that, Simon, as well, which is all on the mate. Look, the thing about, and we can talk about this. Everton, look, they are not the most. What's the word? They're not the most. Just trying to think of the word now. They're not the most, expressive team. David Moyes will have them compact. David Moyes will have them knowing their jobs. They will be compact. They will be efficient in what they do. They'll play with a low block. They'll try to hit us on the counter with Ndoye. They'll try and get balls over the top to Ndoye. They'll get crosses into the box. They'll be functional, organised team. It's going to be up to us to break them down. I do think, no, I demand that we win this game. I do think that we can. And if we can't win this game, it is not going to look good. I agree. I can understand wanting to win it all, but I have to go for top 4. Do you think we will win 5 in a row? Do I think we'll win 5 in a row? No. Yes, the next 10 games we'll win at least 8. I don't think we'll win 5 in a row. I think we can win. I think we may win 3, draw 1, win 4. I don't think we're going to win 5 on the trot. Kevin says United have been great at letting players go. They offered him a new contract and sacked him. Shameful. I agree. I still feel like this is a new United project under Amrin, and Ineos will be successful. I haven't felt this feeling about United in years. Look, and again, this is what this channel is about tonight. Look, guys, get in your opinions. I'm not coming back on your opinions. This is about if you feel like Ineos and the Glazers are the best thing in the world, congratulations. Just get it going tonight. Dino Legend of the chat says, at the time, one of the best keepers in the world, and we just let him go and replaced him with Anana. I mean, the person who was responsible for that should be taken out the back and beaten up. Where was when Fergie was here, we would get rid of anyone who thought they were bigger than the club. Matt T's been doing quite well lately. He has helped Scotland progress through to the World Cup for the first time in a long time. I agree. Ten Hag wanted a ball playing keeper. Omni balls and Nana played with. I love it. Scott, and even those he fumbled. McTominay would score for Scotland in the World Cup and then book his plane ticket. And Arnie just couldn't handle the Premier League. Simple. Some footballers just can't adapt to the speed and the physicality of the league. Glazers probs in talks with Bob the Builder to build the stadium. I've instantaneously got the song in the head now. Bob the Builder, can he fix it? No, he can't. Steve says McTominay was like Pogba, always played too deep and never got the chance to shine. I think that's a very astute comment. This will hurt. I don't think it's the Glazers, it's Ineos driving these cuts through. It is the Glazers driving the cuts through on behalf of the Glazers. Ineos are doing what the Glazers couldn't do for years. I'm not disrespecting your opinion. You could be right. I'm just giving you my opinion on this. The Glazers are doing things they couldn't do before. And in my view, Sir Jim is the front man. Basically, Sir Jim is like a patsy, right? And what I mean by that is the mob back in the 40s and 50s always had a fall guy, right? So they always have somebody that would take the blame. And that's what basically I think Sir Jim is a patsy. Battle says McTominay would be a good West Ham midfielder in the Premier League. Serie A is just not the level of the Prem. At United, McTominay was exposed for his bad passing. Pay them 50 each to build a new stadium. 50 pay. If McTominay came back to the Prem, he wouldn't look as good. Trust me, his bad passing was exposed in the Prem. UDC, doubt I mentioned this. Are we being linked to a guy called Parrot Go? Oh, this is the Ireland striker. This is the guy that scored a hat-trick, isn't it? Parrot. I mean, look, it doesn't surprise me. It won't surprise me. Parrot. I mean, imagine if we signed a player called bloody Parrot. I mean, can you imagine the rival fans? I mean, Parrot. I mean, Jesus Christ. Scotland won't get out of the group stage, especially if they get a tough group. Galatasaray mentioned. Edem, look, we get a lot of Turkish people and fans on here. Welcome, my friend. Switch It says he's doing well because he left us. Scotland had an easier chance to qualify with a larger tournament size. Number one, Galatasaray. Switch most players do well. It's how you got to be, DJ. Yeah. Anderson is a Geordie. No chance he doesn't want to go back to a Newcastle. And again, I think it depends on the position, right? If if they get back into the Champions League, I think there's every possibility that he could go back. I'm not going to rule that one out either. But I just think, and whether you agree with this or not, when a United in a Champions League come calling, I don't think there's many players that turn that down. But we need to get into the Champions League. It's as simple as that. We're after so many players. Why don't we just hold a raffle? Most players could be auctioned off. Parrot plays in the Dutch league. JB, you will need a hat soon with that hair loss. Oh, wait, leave my hair alone. Leave my hair alone, mate. It is. I know it's looking see through, isn't it? Leave my hair alone. Yeah. I have thought about getting what do we call it, like the transplant stuff. But you know, look, mate, I'm on it, mate. I'm on it. I'm taking finasteride and, you know, spraying some stuff in the hair as well. So, you know, maybe in 3 months' time, I'll have this big thick head of hair. You know, so you know, focus on the Steeler before the Vultures. Steeler says he wants to go to Madrid as well, knowing United we will pay over the odds and he'll flop. If Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Madrid, Barca are at the table for Anderson, we don't stand a chance. Have to be more realistic and get Stiller. What are your thoughts on João Gomez? I like him. I do like him. I think that Dino does make a good point, right? We're going for players who everybody else is going after, right? Do we just go for players that are potentially could be good? So what I mean is that whilst we're focusing on those Andersons and those sorts of players, which I do think we need, I'm not going to disagree, but a Gomez for me could be a cheaper alternative that, okay, whilst he may not be necessarily as good, but let's just say you get him for a fraction of the price and he's 20% less good, but he's an improvement on what we've got. I like him. I do like him. I wouldn't sleep on him. I think potentially he could shine. I would take him. He's a ball carrier. Might as well order a place from Timu. Steeler wants to go to Madrid. Where do we play our home games once Old Trafford is demolished? Old Trafford wouldn't get demolished until the new stadium is built. Do you think the Glazers are going to demolish something which makes them cash and pay someone else to play in the stadium? There's no way on this planet. So yeah, Old Trafford stays up until the new one is built. Could you put up a photo of the new design? It looks like Bill and Ben Flowerpot Men, Pink Floyd's Atomic Heart. AFCON is gonna F us over. It looks good. £2-3 million circus tent. I'm hoping that our players can return from AFCON unscathed. We already have clowns playing week in, week out, like a Delo and Shaw. Scott mentioned, who shall not be named. I know my eyes going to twitch. You know, Scott's mentioning my hair and mentioning Shaw. I might have to ban Scott tonight. He's being mean. I love cardis. My granny knitted me one every. Look, I love a cardie. I love a cardigan. Look, there is nothing wrong in embracing a cardigan. There's nothing wrong in embracing that, you know, warmth. Hey, I only call you UDC because I can't remember your name. Call us what you like. Is there any credibility to the Spain reports of Tchouaméni? Steve, nah. I think it's a load of crap. I also don't want the players that Madrid don't want. Look, would I take him? Yes. Do I think it's true? No. I think it's a load of bollocks. Why would he leave Real? And I mean, I don't know the ins and outs or what is happening there. Would I take him? Yes. But do I think it's going to be an absolute extortionate price? If you get him for 40 to 50 million, yeah, 100%, 100%. But right now, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. His name is Tripod. Good evening, JB and the UDC legends. Stephanie, the absolute Welsh legend. Diggs Treasure. Even at my age, I won't wear cardies, mate. I don't care. I'm comfortable with my own old manness to wear cardies. You know, loosely translated, Moyes will be boring. I agree with you. I'll wiggle it just a little bit. Jesus, that's an old song. Yo, Simon, hi, buddy. Don't tell the tripod. Don't tell the hat it needs a stand. New owners, please, says Paul. Don't disagree, my friend. Steph, no parrot jokes. Polly wants a cracker. Where's Parrot gone? He's looking in the mirror. Polly want you. Polly. Scott, is that from Scary Movie 2? I think it is, isn't it? The Trojan horse, the Trojan parrot. I trained my parrot to say, give me. Just think Amron can have a parrot. Well, Delo gets a belly rub. Big up, Steph. Is there any news on the takeover? No, there's not. There is news on the stadium, but you know, no, there is none. Someone should start a channel with a parrot in the background going United. My hair is gone. I'm using a shampoo called What's the Point? I love it. I mean, my hair is hanging on in there. It's not polygon. It's where's my hair gone? Scott, you are mean. His hair is so bouncy. My hair, when I'm finished with it, it's going to be like massive again. It's not going to be. Why are United and City both away at the weekend? We're not away at the weekend. We're home. We play Everton at home, 8 o'clock on Monday night. My parrot would cry, where's your mama gone? Meaning my hair. Besiktas. I just hope we don't spend the entire window on one specific player, then find out another club has got him or he's staying at his old club. Any Prem midfielder would improve depth right now. I do agree with you. During the 5 years, Old Trafford could crumble even more, and I hope in those 5 years we can put in the trophies. By the time the new stadium is built, it will be updated. I love it. Oh man, I could just see you in one of my clubs having it large. You'll come up to me and say, hey Darkus, what's up? And I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, live on stage, put you on spotlight. Yes, mate. That would be legendary, mate. That would be awesome. They'd be just like, who's this old guy? What the fuck is doing on stage? But look, mate, I'd love to, mate. It'd be awesome. Who knows? Who knows, my friend? But yeah, that would be awesome. Bells Niff says hi. I think Baleba would choose us if other clubs come knocking. I think he's the one that will come to us. I do. I think that's the one that I think JB rocking a mullet at the end of JB hair transplant, he would look like Socrates. Oh, can you imagine that? I'll just have like a mullet, mate. That'd be awesome. Try to prescribe some. I can't even say that. No, I've got. I'm taking finasteride. I mean, look, I'm 42 years old, right? Every single man in my family, I've gone bald by this age. So the fact that it is hanging on in there gives me some hope. if I go bald, you know, it is what it is. It's not like I'm 30. Knowing us, in the 5 years, we'll still have some stubborn players that won't leave, like Shaw. My eyes starting to twitch with that Luke Shaw comment. So this is what I predict. Right, Luke Shaw has got 2.5 years left on his deal. Right, he'll play like I don't know, prime Roberto Carlos, right, for the next 6 months. Next season, he will be utter dog, and then he'll go and then he'll start playing for a new contract the season after. I guarantee he'll fall off a cliff. Someone says taking up nursing has made me lose my hair. Nurse, mate, if you're a nurse, big up, mate, big up. JB Prime Roberto Carlos is that's a stretch. I don't even think that Luke Shaw is prime. Just trying to think of a really shitty left back. I don't even think he's prime. I don't know. I can't think. Somebody tell me a left back who's really crap. If United get top 4, JB should get the R9 cut. Can you imagine the R9 cut, the one with the front thing there, right? Luke Shaw isn't even prime Luke Shaw. It's true. It is true. It's true. But he's still. Imagine you're Luke Shaw. I mean, I bet he can't believe his luck. I mean, we gave him a 5-year contract. What, 2 years ago? Simon says, during the 5 years, a hospital will name a ward after Shaw. I mean, they bloody should do. Luke Shaw's praying like Butner, like a prime Butner. I mean, what ever happened to him? Because Butner came from, I always can't pronounce the name. What's it called? It was a Dutch team, and it began with a V. I can't pronounce it. I know it, and it begins with a V. I think he was crap. I think Shaw will be as good as a bench. I fear Mount is the new Luke Shaw. That's it, Dino. See, I knew it began with a V. I fear Mount is the new Luke Shaw. I think Mason Mount is basically like his own thing. So you've got Luke Shaw, who's his own thing, and Mason Mount is a separate thing, right? So you've got Luke Shaw, who basically for the last 2 years couldn't walk, right? And he has defied. I reckon there are scientists out there who actually don't even know how Luke Shaw has managed to survive. See, I've got a theory on Shaw. Have you seen the Venom films, right? I think he's got a symbiote inside his body, but he's not got a good symbiote. He's got one of the little weaselly ones, right? So I think he's got a symbiote. He's climbed into his body and repaired it to a point. I just don't know. I can't believe Shaw has not picked up an injury yet. Still time though, Simon. He's going to be injured. Do you think if we got Semenyo, they sell Mount? The problem is with that, who's going to buy Mason Mount? Who's going to buy him? Mason Mount is like a cut and shut car, right? Looks good, but the moment you take it out, it's going to fall to pieces. No one's buying Mason Mount. I mean, if we can somehow get Mason Mount playing for the second half of the season without him being injured, we could probably blag it. But I don't think that we're going to sell him, because I don't even think he's going to last the next 2 years. I think Mason Mount's going to retire by the time he's 29. Shaw will be in the hospital for the next 10 games, crutches and a lot of lollipops. Speaking of injuries, when his When is Martinez returning? So Martinez is apparently is now back. So a couple of weeks ago, you had all the channels, and again, I'm not calling them out. I am calling them out. Talking about, oh, Martinez is back. Martinez is back. He's back. The butcher's back. The butcher's back. He wasn't fucking back. It's just a total load of bollocks. I think Martinez is actually back now. So I think when I say Martinez is back, I think he'll be on the bench. So I don't think he's going to necessarily play. He might, but I think he's back. And I believe the reason why they've held him back to get fully fit is because they know we've got 10 games. They know we've got 10 games in the next month. So I think they've been holding him back because I think they know they're going to need every single player. So Martinez, I believe, is now back. Will he play? Potentially, but I don't think he's going to start. So might as well be in The Walking Dead. Can we sell Mount back to Chelsea again, or don't Chelsea take back shop sold goods? Probably not. Yeah, we got absolutely smashed over that. We got absolutely done over on that deal. But you know, Murta, Arnold thought that they were the best thing since sliced bread. Dino says we won't Mount will leave on a free transfer. I do agree. Our old medical team have a lot to answer for. They bloody well do. We would still pay him even when he leaves. He won't be the same player. Nah. Fully fit, and he probably won't last to the end of the season. Luke Shaw never be fully fit. He will be scared to slam in the tackle. He won't be the same. And this is sort of where I was at, where people were saying that when the Butcher comes back, you know, we're going to be this fantastic team again, and Butcher's going to save us, and the Butcher's going to be, you know, doing some Butcher stuff. And my opinion is, you know, is he going to be the same player? I just don't know. I would say on a watching certain players at a particular age, I don't think he's going to be the same again. I don't think he will be. I hope he is, but I just don't think after being out for that long, he's going to suddenly jump into a tackle. I just don't think he will. So let's see. According to the BBC football website, regarding the only Boxing Day match, it seems to be, it is. We are the only Boxing Day match. Go and figure that one out. Get him fit and sell him, Lissandro. I am now of the opinion that I think we get rid of these injury-prone players. If Martinez comes back and Martinez plays well, keep him. I've got no problem with that. But I'm not opposed to selling him either. I think you're right, Scott. Give Martinez at least 20 minutes for a couple of matches to break him in. So half the team then. Yeah, exactly. So Martinez for me, will he come back? I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Because half of our team are cripples. And that's it, Scott. We are limping through a season. We might as well be DLA at this point. I don't disagree, mate. I think that we're a team that we play once a week and we still look shite. So how are we going to look when we play these 10 games in the next month? We're going to find out. Going to take a lot of games to get him up to speed. If he can, that's what we'll have to be concerned about. At least they can all walk. That's true. So look, guys, I'm going to go. Another great show, an hour and a half. I would like to see Martin's back for a FA Cup tie. Look, let's hope that we get some really poor teams because, given some of these players, some game time as well would be fantastic. So I'm going to go, guys. Look, I love these shows. These are the. Luke Shaw reminds me of Timmy from South Park. Timmy. I used to love that show. Timmy. Yeah, I am going to go, guys. Great show. I do love these evening shows. Fantastic. You guys, as I say, we are now over 25k. Yeah, we are we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, you guys are legends of this chat. I feel like I know you all now. I know the names. I know the same people that come onto the chats as well. So you guys don't underestimate Nikki, Simon. That you make this channel big. And I don't forget that. You guys make this channel what it is. So I know it's almost like, sometimes maybe on the bigger channels you sort of get lost a bit, but on here you guys, every single person makes this channel, and I don't forget that. So you guys have made this channel bigger, get bigger and bigger and bigger every single weekday, and it's all thanks to you guys. Absolute, and you guys are the channel. And many people say, oh, you guys are the channel, blah, 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 blah. But you guys are the channel. If it wasn't for you guys, it would just be some sad old git in a cardigan talking to a wall over there. So, yeah, you've got to respect the tripod. You've got to respect the cardigan. But yeah, guys, you are legends. And I just love this show. I look forward to it every single day. Oh, tripod friends. Oh, tripod friends. Oh, friends. Yeah, guys. So I will be back tomorrow at some point. If anything does break, I will be back as well. I don't really see it. Amron's press conference will be out tomorrow. The cardigan will not be back tomorrow. This is an evening. This is a cold evening. The cardigan will not be back. I'm back. Bloody phone call. It was Chester Zoo, and it was Chester Zoo, a parrot. Stephanie, I love it. From a call, it was a Chester parrot. Oh, I love it, guys. Absolute legends. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow, minus the cardigan. As Scott hates the cardigan. The Scott is not only the band hammer, but he's also the fashion police as well. Knitting a show with JB. I can sew. I just can't knit. But you never know. I could learn. Story time with JB, and I put people asleep enough. So yeah, guys, legends as always. Yeah. Stay safe. I will. JB's final thoughts are this. Look, we are. I think more than ever. I think this community in particular. I think what is becoming abandoned. I think what is friends. What I think is obvious. I think communities like this are good, is because you guys. We are 1 hour later. Yeah, it's true, mate. It's true. As soon as you get me on a topic, that's it. So look, guys, what I will say is communities like this, that I think are trying to drive a different way to this club. I think people were very, very toxic before, but what I'm experiencing on here is that we are a fan base ready for change and looking to change, and I think the majority of us agree. But I think the one thing we do on here is that we agree to disagree. DJ is right. Don't eat yellow snow. No digging trenches on the way out of the room. Yeah, I exactly. We're all a family on here. I know some people think it's corny and will think it's a load of nonsense, but that is how it is. So look, guys, you are a fantastic community, legends. I love the fact the way you interact with each other, the way you take the piss out of me. Mostly Scott. Family, friends. Oh, good. Yeah, champers. So look, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. I'll be back tomorrow minus the cardigan. And yeah, stay safe. Don't get up to get up to mischief. Champers, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, and I'll see you later on.